Hello everyone and welcome back to Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth. I'm Alton, with me as always is Reese.
Hi.
And Kay.
I am on stimulants.
And joining us today is Bryce Bucher, the developer of Fatum Betula. How are you doing, Bryce?
I'm doing all right.
And I wanted to have you on because we love doing interviews of indie game devs where they make some, beautiful works of art, and we go to them and say, like, why don't you make Frogger but with burgers?
Yeah.
Explaining Frogger to an American.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna be like 2 hours of grueling you. Why isn't the cat in Fortnite?
That would be sick. We should contact Epic about getting. It's not even a cat though. I learned from like the developer commentaries that it's supposed to be a raccoon.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so
I've kind of I've settled on it being both and neither.
You know what? That's fucking valid. My support.
Are we meant
The
to
raccoon.
feel like really good about killing it? Or is that a me problem? Because when I first poisoned that fucking guy, I was like, this is phenomenal. This is the good ending I'm about to get. And it was.
I honestly didn't anticipate people would have any kind of strong reaction to killing him either way. Like, people were more attached to him than I was. It's kind of surprising.
Well,
he's a beautiful soul that I have enjoyed.
I feel like that's
murdering.
Very common for, creators of any kind of work of art. Like the things that people get attached to are never the ones you expect them to.
Yeah. I think it's just I took that creature for granted. I was just like, yo, I designed a little guy and I put him there, whatever.
And then everyone's like, I love the cat, Bryce.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? What cat?
You mean the raccoon? I mean, to me, it's the coughing sound that he makes when you poison him. That's tremendous.
Yeah. I think that was just me coughing into my mic, and then I pitched it down.
Perfect.
I mean, the cat plush is sold out. I noticed, so there must be at least 400 people across the globe that are excited to get their own cat to poison in real life.
Yeah. We'll see what
Just giving the plush little sips of Monster Energy. Just drink up. Let's see if we can explain what Fatum Betula is for those not in the know. Because for the moment, they're just like, apparently there's a cat, and you kill the cat. And it's also a raccoon, which I don't think is a very good description. But from my perspective, it's very reminiscent of a lot of indie games I've enjoyed in the past. So something kind of like, I don't know if this is a good reference if anyone else has actually played this, but like the Norwood Suite or Off Peak. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I don't know if those were games that you've played or influenced you at all.
I haven't played Off Peak yet, but or Norwood Suite, but I am familiar with Cosmo D's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So those didn't influence me, I would say, but one of my major influences was a friend of mine's game. His name is Modus Interactive, and he made a game called Iketsuki, which I'm gonna type out in chat because it's a weird word. I don't even think it's a real word, but that game was a huge influence on Fatum Betula, as well as just stuff like Yume Nikki and various adventure games I grew up playing. And one of the biggest influences on it was actually my cousin gave me his cartridges for the N64 when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
And he had completed save files on Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and I just played those games without any context to like what they were really, and just wandered around like talking to people and triggering events and stuff on his completed save files.
Interesting.
That's awesome. There is, I don't want to say, well, I mean, it's not really an open world game, but there is a similar sense of exploration to it. It feels very much like a environmental discovery sort of experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I got so many different, maybe not from the game overall, but just also a ton of touches from Seventh Guest. And
Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there, yeah.
yeah, the soup ending, the soup can ending, especially. To me, I was really excited to have you on, Bryce, because right now, for all of the grousing about stuff about Silent Hill, we're kind of in a indie horror game renaissance, and I think Fatum Betula is right up there for me, anyways. Sort of like weird narrative experiences I'd put up there with something like Paratopic or the Kitty Horror Show games. We could describe it like line by line for the rest of the podcast for hours, but I think it's the sort of thing you really have to sit down and experience to really get why it's special. Because there is a lot of the game, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's about you sort of like coming to these interesting flourishes, like when you go into the autumn room and there's that music playing, and it sounds like it's supposed to be this beautiful orchestral suite, but there's just enough. It's like 20% sour notes. It gives you like this super disquieting vibe. It's just one of those things that if you like horror games, or it's like not even like horror like a lot of horror games are, in the sense is like you're not gonna get, there's a lot of like fucking real imagery, but you're not gonna be chased by Pyramid Head or whatever. It's a lot more sort of like existential. At least that's how I would describe it. Anyways.
As a counterpoint to Reese's effusive praise, Ebrietas says, negative review, no controller support.
Damn.
So the 0 out of 10, kicking you off the pot. No, I think we should actually we should give a little bit of what Fatum Betula actually is. So it's an atmospheric, basically exploration game where you are tasked by this hideous creature whose name I forget. Basically, there's this world tree that is kind of like the Elden Ring in that it controls reality. And
this game's kind of like Elden Ring.
It is.
It's pretty similar. It's an open world game.
Exactly. It is Elden Ring. But it's feeding off this ancient spring, which is basically causing it to stagnate and not be able to change at all. And you're tasked with basically just going out and finding various fluids that you can add to the water of this spring to change reality by feeding it to the tree.
Yeah, I was delighted to find how fluid-based this game is.
Yeah. Obviously fans of the pod will be like, where's the cum ending?
That's DLC.
I mean, to me, that's what the liquid bone is. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Oh man, that's the one that makes you turn into skeletons.
Yeah, cum does that.
That just real life.
But yeah, you go around solving puzzles and to get various new fluids, and you can combine some of them together in like a pond outside by the cat/raccoon. And basically, the whole game is about finding as many of these as you can and getting every ending, because there are like a bunch of different endings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen people describe it as sort of a find the endings type game, which is sort of an interesting subgenre. And I've never heard, before releasing this game, I'd never really heard anybody describe that genre before, but it's definitely a thing.
I've never heard of that, but that would also describe Elden Ring in actually a very similar way. It's like a puzzle Elden Ring. Instead of killing big monsters, you solve puzzles and find secrets. and then you find mending runes to use on the Elden Ring for different endings.
No, I mean, to me, that's too broad to describe anything, because it describes everything. What is every movie? What is every lunch? What is life? It's you're just trying to get to the ending so you can get on to the next ending.
You know, this came out 2 years before Elden Ring, so I think that Miyazaki actually ripped you off.
Yeah, we'll be filing suit for you.
Yeah, we're going to represent you in court. Oh, you are
3 lawyers.
There's 3 lawyers trying to get through the doors of the courthouse all at once and getting stuck, and then it'll be like a Three Stooges routine.
Yeah, we're all dressed as Melania. We're all angry at each other because I was supposed to be Melania. No, I was not.
I don't want to dress as Melania. I want to dress as Rogier because he's got the best drip. Like Rogier's drip is just off the hook.
Fair enough. One Rogier, 2 Melanias. Coming right up.
That can be a family. I don't care what.
I hope. Have you played Elden Ring, Bryce? I hope we're not just
Yeah,
talking
I've
about a
played Elden
mess.
Ring.
Oh, okay, excellent. I guess I just assume everyone has played it because it's the bestest game ever.
Bryce has a Elden Ring time lapse on his YouTube, so I knew.
That's true, I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I obsessively take screenshots when I'm playing games, so I put them all together in a video.
Cool.
As somebody who is currently insanely obsessed with Elden Ring again.
Yeah, I'm getting back into it
I
as well.
appreciated that a lot. I'm gonna have to quit Elden Ring like I did like World of Warcraft or Destiny 2. It's like becoming a problem.
Oh dear.
At least Elden Ring isn't asking you for money like every 5 minutes.
No, I installed a mod that did that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Makes it feel like home.
All right. Getting back to Fatum Betula, every ending that you collect explores various themes. So, just as an example, I think one of the more obvious ones is if you feed the cat guy. I think this is another thing that makes people think it's a cat because you feed them a fish.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I had not thought of that until just now.
And he's like, here, have some black stuff that my world is all fiery. And it's like, okay, this is oil. And then you pour that into the water, and then a clip of Kanye West plays saying George Bush doesn't care about black people.
That does happen, yeah.
That does happen.
But it is very much the parasites ending. It's very much like a commentary on like the irresponsible use of natural resources.
Yeah, that was actually one of the only endings that I reworded from the demo because I was scared that it came off as too like misanthropic or like eco-fashy. So I added like a few lines in to make it clear that it's about like people in power mishandling resources and not just like human beings in general.
Right. The thing is that that's one of my favorite endings because it's the one that's the most like Dune.
Fuck's sake.
It's like you should really read Dune. Dune is great.
No, we're not doing Dune on the pod.
All right.
I feel like you'd be easy to buy gifts for.
Yeah. All right, but getting back to the endings, I'm curious, like, what are your guys' favorite endings, including you, Bryce? I'm wondering what was your like canonical ending?
Okay, you want me to go first?
We'll save Bryce for last.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite ending was the forever ending. It just because I found it the most compelling. We find I forget it's just like the life potion or something, but it is the immortal people who have forever to explore beauty, and then all of everything all of the stars sort of twinkle out, and it's just everybody just forgets because that's all exists are the immortals. There is a degree of melancholy to it, but I enjoyed the sort of turn from what you would imagine would be a kind of a positive ending. You could very easily frame that as a happier ending, but I enjoy the framing of stuff like the cycle of
immortality
life and death
potion.
has a purpose. Yeah, the immortality potion. Thank you, Alton.
Yeah, that's the Highlander ending. I feel like that's lampshaded by the fact that the immortal that you meet is like, this fucking sucks, kill me please.
Yeah,
True.
I love that guy.
That's like me for real.
Oh, and I should say that we will be doing spoilers on this episode, which I probably should have mentioned, but the game is like, I don't know, like 2 hours long. If you get like a whole bunch of the endings, probably even less than that. I see Kay's got like a shit ton of achievements on like 1.2 hours. So
Yeah,
go play this before the episode.
Yeah,
I was enthusiastic about the cat killing aspects.
All right, Kay, what was your favorite ending?
My favorite ending was the murderer's ending. It's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of this vision of the future, like what if everyone was like the British middle class? And I just think that's a wonderful little horror vignette for me, little treat.
Okay. All right, Bryce, what was your favorite? What was your favorite, and what was the canonical ending?
Okay, so my favorite ending is the cycle, just because a lot of the writing was done, I guess, kind of poetically, and in terms of poetry, I think the cycle was written the best and had the most interesting stuff to say, and also the context on like what you have to do to get that ending, that's the one where you walk up to your father's like banging door at the end of the twisted hallway and then swap places with him and then chop yourself with a knife and take your own blood.
I like how in this game you're canonically just like a pair of legs with a camera on top.
Yeah. And so that ending was just me ruminating on the weird morality and like trickiness of people being born in sort of tragic situations and then becoming bad people as a result of that, and like how you navigate that with empathy, and like it's something that doesn't really have any simple or concrete answers, and I don't know, I like that one. And it's in terms of canon, I wanted there specifically to be 3 canonical endings that all directly contradict each other. Okay. The cycle is one of them. That one says that like all of this was sort of the whole game was sort of a warped perspective of yourself as a child or something like that. It's kind of vague, but it's sort of trying to imply that there is a literal world happening here, but what you're seeing is sort of a warped version of that.
You go back in time and beat your own ass.
Yeah. And then the soup ending is supposed to say, and this one's just literally true, like this is a video game. It's not that deep or anything. This is a video game you're playing. And then the other canonical ending is the one where you meet God, and God explicitly tells you, this is not a warped memory. This is not a video game. Everything you're seeing here is real, and these people like were created yesterday, and we're going to give them free will now. So those 3 endings, they can't all be true at once.
That's interesting. I would have guessed that I definitely was guessing that like the free will ending would be like the canonical one. At least because it's sort of like, that's like the good ending, right?
Right.
Where there's not like, free will obviously has complications to it, which sort of, but out of the endings, I think it's the one that has like the least amount of bad stuff.
Right. I wanted it to feel that way, to like people who wanted it to feel that way, I guess. But then there's also enough wiggle room for you to sort of interpret it as like a farce, like this is too good to be true type of thing.
Oh, I see. So it's like you can also imagine that people use their free will to create Ubisoft, and
Yeah,
that is that's an unalloyed evil that would not have existed without your intervention.
that's true. I'm not surprised to hear you say a minute ago that you feel like the cycle is kind of the best written of the endings. There's a bit I really liked. I think it's like, you don't deserve sympathy, but I am sorry.
Yeah, that's my favorite line in the game.
Yeah, same. I think that's fucking tremendous. And also kind of like, I don't know, I find myself feeling that way about people a lot. That's just really real.
Yeah.
Kay says that to us anytime anything bad happens.
Every time we log on to the call, just like you were slime, you were worse than the filth under my feet, but I'm sorry for you. It's like, thanks, Kay. Would you like to play some Baldur's Gate 3 now? It's like, oh yeah, sure.
Listen, I live in the United Kingdom. I have to interact with a certain type of creature.
Yeah, that I've noticed that is how people from the UK interact with each other as friends. They're just like, "What's up, you fucking moron, idiot, scumbag?"
Yeah, that means they like you.
Exactly. It's the first time I ever met somebody online from the UK and hung out with them. I was like, "What? Why are you so mean?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm being friendly." It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, disgusting island swamp people?
That's what it was like when I moved
And they
here.
were like, "Oh yeah, thank you." And
Yeah. I was like, "What's that fucking person's problem? Why do they got some kind of beef with me?" And they're like, "No, they like you. They're being friendly." I was like, "What? This is."
I remember
Years of
hearing
my life.
someone from France talking about visiting America and being deeply upset by how much everybody smiles. It's just like a fucking haunted circus world.
That would be fucking dope.
Listen,
Haunted
they're
circuses are like
nightmare
one of my
countries, but
top 10 settings, definitely. Like Carnival, that's the banger.
were you into Insane Clown Posse? Were you that type?
No, but I had a friend in like my Bible studies group who kept
Awesome
playing
already. Go on.
Insane Clown Posse when we went on like church road trips. Oh my god.
Yo, that fucking rocks.
The Dark Carnival is a metaphor for God's kingdom, so that makes sense.
You see,
Yeah,
everyone was
exactly.
surprised when they were like, "Oh yeah, we're Christians," but not Alton's friend. Alton's friend was reading the subtext. Had it all
Exactly.
figured out.
He's just in this car with like my 50-year-old pastor and like a bunch of other children just listening to fucking Insane Clown Posse. Oh my god.
Give it up for white culture, folks. It's
Jesus. Anyway, what were we talking about?
great
This is video
question. I
game.
don't remember.
Insane Clown Posse.
Before the Insane Clown Posse, I think we were talking about how people from the UK are always mean.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the US and Canada are like nightmare countries, but like they are. I don't think I've been anywhere where the people have been better than in general than Canadians and Americans. They
Mhm.
just, I don't know. They're just, they're insane freaks because of the nature of the country they live in, but they're just more affable, I think. They're more socially competent as well. It's British people are, every single one of them has anxiety. That's why they're like that.
I
I
think
assume
it's
it's
the
the
school
rays coming
system.
from the Queen.
This
Yeah,
is
it might be that.
it's like, this is very I've just listened to Pink Floyd and I have deep thoughts about it. But it very much seems to be something that caused by their particular school system of inbred pedophiles abusing children.
That is the vibe. Also, like, Britain hates kids. Everywhere kind of hates kids, but Britain really fucking hates kids. And you can kind of tell. You can tell that people grew up in that environment.
Anyway, back to the video game. Fuck. I enjoy that, like, maybe this is my personality because I'm an inherently silly person and I always gravitate towards the more comedic stuff, but I enjoy that it's not all just doom and gloom or high philosophy. There's also the Bones ending where you're a spooky, scary skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was too spooky for me.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty
I'm
scary.
always a big proponent of like tonal contrast. Like I think to focus on one or the other too much, it starts to feel a little I guess almost like navel gazing or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if that's the right term. It's just the human experience is very broad, you know, and by putting really goofy, lighthearted shit next to the darker stuff, it always makes both of them more meaningful, I think.
Exactly.
It makes it feel realer in a way, and I think a big part of that is like when you know enough people who've been through traumatic shit, a pattern you start to realize is that there's usually elements of it that are kind of funny.
Right.
And often, like, people who've been through sort of similar things in the past, they will bond over like the weirdly, darkly humorous aspects of it.
Sure.
Like I think strange or comedic things, if anything, enhance the more serious things that are already there. Like Disco Elysium is one of the funniest games I've ever played, and it's also like pretty emotionally devastating at points. And I think that you couldn't have it one way without the other.
Yeah.
As effectively.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say a lot of great art. There's a lot of great examples of this, like Earthbound and like just the whole Mother franchise.
Totally.
That's what people point to a lot.
Meat and Fuck Kingdom 3.
Exactly,
Lots of emotionally devastating art like that.
Yeah.
I consider it to be the Sopranos rule, where because Sopranos is one of the funniest TV shows of all time, it is also permitted to be like other shows just can't be like a tenth as dramatic because they're unwilling to let themselves have the stupidest moments of all time for 20 minutes about sliced meat, you know?
Yeah. I think
That's
all
true.
really I don't know about all really great art. I'm sure there are some that just do one or the other. Like
Right.
I don't think Come and See would have been better with like a 15-minute vaudeville segment.
Agree to
well,
disagree.
that's our next episode debate.
But I think that there is something to be said about how too much of one or too much of the other kind of allows you to kind of get your guard up in terms of expectations.
Yeah.
And so if you have like a good mix of both, it always keeps you guessing and you're never prepared for whatever you get next. And I think that this is something I've ranted about before, but when it comes to your experience of a video game, I think expectation plays a huge role into whether or not you actually have a good time.
That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, actually. I think expectations are kind of poisonous. Like,
I have great examples.
Oh yeah. Well, I've kind of landed on the belief that like people seem to kind of have been, I don't know if it's just like a default thing or people have been kind of conditioned, but people seem to react to subversion with anger before anything else a lot of the time, rather than like curiosity. Like if a game is doing something they don't expect, they'll get upset about it rather than be like, oh, what's this cooking, you know? What's going on here? And I think it's just a lot healthier.
Yeah, it's better not to have expectations.
Yeah.
I've got two examples. One where a game I had very low expectations of and completely like floored me with how good it was. And one where I had high expectations and hated it with a fiery passion. So the game I had low expectations for was Armored Core 4 Answer, which...
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I'd never been like big into anime or big stompy robots. I had watched like Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm like, damn, this shit's depressing. Why does anyone like this?
These kids are sad.
These
dude.
kids, I would be fucking hyped to
Jesus,
fight
hey,
giant
man.
robots. These guys are losers.
Shinji, you fucking pussy.
You pussy.
That's what it's about, right?
Yeah, it's about
that's the
Shinji
thing.
being about his father not liking him and being disappointed in him and being correct in doing so. But I was like, basically my mom got it for me because it was like a Black Friday sale where I was getting like Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway because it was $20 on sale, and Armored Core for Answer was part of that same like $20 deal. And my mom was like, we'll just get it. It's $20. I'm like, I don't really want this, but all right. I won't complain about a free game. And I ended up thinking that Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway fucking sucks. It's really boring. It's not good. But as I started playing Armored Core for Answer, I realized this is fucking amazing. This is like honestly, one of the best game experiences I've ever had. And I think a huge part of why it was so impactful is because I had basically no expectations for it going in. I had no, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. And so when I ended up, loving it, it was like a mind-blowing experience.
You see, what this tells me is your mom knew something.
And then on the flip side,
Were you going to talk about the Outer Worlds?
yeah, it's the Outer
By any
Worlds.
chance?
The other Alton story he's told 4 times.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like so hyped going into that. I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be like Fallout New Vegas, but like even more explicitly anti-capitalist. And then I like played it on Microsoft Game Pass for $1. And even at $1, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? It's so bad. And I don't want to rehash it, but it's basically the Liz Warren of video games. Don't play it.
What made the Outer Worlds so unpleasant too was we had Higgins in there just like policing the debate, just being like, actually its treatment of both sidings things is actually really compelling, because that's what we should be doing politically. And we're just like, shut the fuck up. This is not a both sides server.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
I don't know if you've experienced that, Bryce. Have you played the Outer Worlds?
I know a little bit about it. It seems to just not be written that well. Although the only like anecdote I have about it is I remember watching a review of it, and I was agreeing with a lot of what he was saying, but at one point there was like an owner of like a coal mine or whatever, and he was like letting his workers die because he didn't want to pay for safety regulations, and the reviewer was like, do you really think a CEO would do that? This is so stupid. They need workers to do the work. Why would they just let them die? And it's like, wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going to rehash my grievances, but safe to say that like going from like really high expectations did not help that game curry my favor at all.
Yeah, I think both of us were brutal on that game because it's Obsidian. We had these expectations. Didn't realize that like Josh Sawyer was off making his game about monks at the time, and like a lot of key people weren't touching it. The ones who were, like Tim Kaine, like he's not writing. That's not. It's got no bearing on that. No good. Not a good game. Nothing. I heard they're making a sequel, and I don't know why they would do that to me.
Yeah, specifically to hurt us.
Exactly. Well, and part of why I think bringing it back around to Fatum Betula, I'm going to mispronounce it more and more. I bring it up. That juxtaposition of tones that you're talking about, I think, works really well. But I think the other side of it, to me, of what works about it is you're letting the player also sort of like travel the distance to making their own interpretations. You know, the various endings have sort of their own specific thematic point of views, but it's not like some of these other things we're talking about that it's, you know, like the Outer Worlds is just like feel this way or this way. And I think that makes something so much more compelling, and having that whimsy in there and all of those ingredients of both, you know, the dramatic and silly in there sort of like gives you just sort of like more fuel for the brain fire, if you will, to make those sort of like leaps into being, you know, interpreting the game and having it be your own experience. You know, and unless you just say I'm wrong there, that's not what
I appreciate it. That's something I hope to do in the future as well.
I can't wait to have my expectations subverted by 500 caliber contracts. I want to put you on the spot here, Bryce, and I want to throw some liquids at you, and you tell me what the ending would be if you put that in the ancient well. All right, Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Probably like pancreas failure, kidney stones.
Kidney stones, but for the world.
Yeah, everyone gets really happy for a little bit, and then they all get horrible kidney stones and die.
Okay.
An endless sea of hospitals treating kidney stones. Like failure and suffering to pass.
God. I really want to. I shouldn't ask this, but I really want to know what if you added cum to the ancient spring.
And then there's so many directions you can take that. Oh man, I don't know. You could go like a poetic route and be like, there's just more life and genetic diversity, or you could just be like, everything is a 90s boner comedy now.
Everything's really horny. It like the name of the game changes to Fat Ass Bitula.
Yeah.
The cat raccoon giant tits.
We
made the game good.
You know, I'm surprised nobody's done that yet. I haven't gotten any porn of my character. I've got a lot of like furries drawing their own versions of him, but I haven't gotten any porn.
Wow.
It's disappointing. Get on that.
Listeners.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, is all I can say.
We have a 50-50 shot with some of our listeners.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the developer of Pseudo Regalia. I'm very jealous on the output of that.
Oh, nice.
Let's see, Pseudo Regalia. Oh yeah. I remember this. This is the I haven't played this yet. This is the Metroidvania that's like the PS1 remake. I've heard a lot of people say this was really good.
It is.
This looks awesome. Yeah, I saw something about this.
Madra the Fox specifically. You've been assigned a task.
Okay.
Oh God. Oh.
Anyone else got any cool fluids we can put into the? I would just. The thing is, if I had this plant like at home, I would just put shit in it just to see what happens. I'd be like,
yeah. I want to know what would happen if you put in the Belle Delphine bathwater in there. Game of Girl runoff.
You get botulism poisoning.
The Christian rapture happens.
A Monster energy drink. Gotta go with that one. What are we getting from Monster?
That's also just kidney stones, except everyone's
super hyper,
more awake, and there's no more sleeping. There's no sleep. There's no rest. Constantly popping out kidney stones. It's just a nightmare.
We all become the immortal guy in the shack.
Also, everyone's gaming the whole time too.
All right, well, this is actually kind of cool then. That's the ending I want.
Yeah,
the gamer ending.
Gamer ending.
All right, so we're at like the 50-minute mark. I think Reese, now would be a good time for you to talk about the other games that you played on itch.io.
Yeah, I played the 3 games I played were Winter Walk 2006, Ready to Die, and Remember Places, which I think was an interesting smattering. Winter Walk was, I think, it was one of those PS1 demo discs that they have on itch.io, like one of those offerings, and if I am correct there, and that's just kind of like a fun little just like experience of, you play a game on the monitor, and it's like a picture of the monitor you play the game on, and then your dad's like, time to go to bed. You got stuff to do in the morning, kiddo. And then you just have a dream about the game, and it's like this. It's a great kind of like surreal experience, similar to Fatum Betula, and they
Similar
also
to
had
Hakuna Matata.
exactly. And like Ready to Die, I really enjoyed because it just seemed like straight up like something you would play in the Seventh Guest to unlock, the Goon Cave. But and that's just like a dice, like you're a die, and you're rolling around to get around. And so before we get to Remember Places, I would be curious to your thoughts on both Winter Walk 2006 and Ready to Die. Because Winter Walk is very much like an experiential narrative, and Ready to Die is just straight up a puzzle game where you have to figure out how to roll the die in a specific way to get to the exit. And I'm curious to what your thought processes were for those 2 games.
So, Winter Walk 2006 was made for one of the Haunted PS1's Advent calendars, which is a collection of small winter-themed games. It's not part of the demo disc. But also, as a side note, I made the first 2 demo discs. I don't know if I've mentioned that like anywhere else, but all the Haunted PS1 collections, a lot of the games that inspired me, and a lot of the smaller games that are free on my itch came from one of those collections, whether it be a demo disc or the Advent calendar games or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that game, the concept for it was just. I was thinking about those days I would spend like sick at home in elementary school, and then I would just like find some weird Shockwave 3D game on the internet and play it, and then just have weird fever dream coded memories of it. So the game is like you play one of those, and then you go to sleep, and then you dream about it.
Oh yeah.
And it was just kind of slapped together based on that premise, and I honestly like kind of hated it the whole time I was making it. I appreciate it more in retrospect, but yeah, I was just like, man, this game sucks. It's not about anything. It's stupid.
I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of I don't know if a universal experience, but I feel like a lot of people have definitely played video games so much that then they go to sleep and they dream about that video game. Like,
yeah,
I know that has certainly happened to me with certain video games. I think most recently was Elden Ring. And I don't really remember what the dream was about, but yeah.
I feel like I hear about it most with Tetris.
Oh yeah.
Play a lot of Tetris, and then I have. Yep, exactly, of course. But yeah, I've had that. I've had that with Civ 5, where it's just like no narrative to the dream, just building roads connecting cities forever in an endless boundaried country.
That's actually kind of an upsetting.
Yeah, the match 3 thing is fucking crazy, because like once you just start matching patterns, your brain is just like, I'm gonna do that with everything now. I like this dopamine. And so that continues until you sleep, basically.
It's true. These days, I mostly dream about finding like weird bootleg games at like a Goodwill and getting really excited about it. It'll be stuff like Kingdom Hearts, the movie, the game.
Hell yeah.
Or something like that. And then I wake up disappointed.
That'd be a great premise for another game, honestly. Is like you go to fucking Goodwill and you find one of those like You get like one of those creepypasta games from like the discount section.
and then Goofy is hunting you.
Yeah, Goofy just bursts through your monitors like, yuck. It's time to die, kiddies.
I've pulled up footage of Winter Walk 2006, and like I've figured this game out. It's about how it sucks that it's so cold. What the fuck?
But
That's true.
All right, what was the last game you wanted to talk about, Reese?
The last game I wanted to talk about was called Remember Places, and Remember Places is a game. It's similar to in a way to the structure of Winter Walk 2006, because it's very much about your experience sitting on the computer, and then you can kind of like press escape, and you're in your fucked up horrible apartment that you're that maybe you've boarded up. It's complicated, the interpretation, and there's a neon sign that just says "Don't leave," but if you log into the computer, there's just a guy there, and I posted a picture of it earlier in the chat. That is just like always starts the conversation, just being like, "Remember, I'm only your friend. That's all I can be, and I cost money to talk to you." And it's just about your relationship with this dude, or this, I don't know, I guess I'm not sure if this person has a gender or not, that takes you through these different environments. And it's very much a game that felt to me anyways kind of about our relationship with these things and people and places in games, and how we imprint our emotions on it, because you go through a whole like relationship arc with basically, your bonsai buddy who is just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you need to keep paying for me to talk to you. All right, now that you've paid for me to talk to you, let's talk about me." And so I don't know. I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about your thoughts while putting that together, and sort of like what your structure of it was. I'm trying to be a little bit oblique about it because I don't want to spoil it, because I want the listeners to go and play it. But yeah.
Okay. I'll try not to spoil it too then.
Reese, can I make a dad joke for you?
I don't know. Can you?
We don't know what their gender is, but we do know they're poly.
Folks.
That was good.
So, firstly, I'd like to say, when you were listing out the games you wanted to talk about earlier, I thought it was really funny that you pronounced Remember Places like with the question mark out loud. Like I've never heard someone do that. But so Remember Places was made, I think, around the start of the pandemic, and I felt emotionally like the fucking berserk eclipse just happened. Like life got super lonely, and I was tasked to make this game in 48 hours for a game jam. And so I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, just kind of, I guess, putting a lot of myself in it. And I just thought, what if it's about a guy in a room, locked up in a room because he can't go outside because the world is like over, or like there's some horrible disease out there, and his only friend is brought to him through some sort of corporate entity that he has to pay for. And I don't know, I just wanted to cover themes of like derealization and how corporations were, I assume, were going to try and like suck money out of people through their loneliness, like capitalize on it.
Personally, I can't relate to a story where a disease ravages the world and you can't go outside and all your friends are on the computer. That's not my experience at all.
I've gotten two of the most interesting like comments or replies from this game. The first one was around when I posted it. Some guy made like a small essay in the HIO comment section ranting to me about, because he had just assumed that I was like a COVID denialist or something, and he was like, "Why are you telling people to go outside, you fuck, and people are dying out there." And I replied being like, "I'm not. This game is not about that." And he's like, "Oh, okay, sorry." And then the second comment I got was somebody who was basically just the protagonist of this game in real life, which like made my heart sink. They were like, I saw myself in this game because a few years ago I was really, really lonely because of the pandemic, and I was addicted to using this AI chatbot and all this shit. And they were talking, they kind of implied that they still were, and that they like had some sort of romantic relationship with this AI chatbot, and that this game like, meant a lot to them because of that. And I was like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
So bad.
That's god damn.
I didn't even know that was like a thing really when I made this game. I mean, I knew about like the guy in the early 2000s that like married his DS waifu and shit like that. But I didn't know. I didn't know people were in relationships with AI chatbots back then.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a thing. And much like in the game, you do have to pay for like time spent on like the AI chatbots.
Yeah.
Like most people use it to just be like, oh, what would it be like to talk to Genghis Khan or whatever.
Right.
But my wife, Genghis Khan.
Yeah, my wife, Genghis Khan. But yeah, I can totally see.
I completely had blocked this out until you mentioned that. This was a little while ago now, but my boss had like this ongoing like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna listen to my boss talk about this now. This ongoing story that he was engaged with the AI chatbot, and just like how compelled he was with it and how well written it was. And then he would describe it, and I would just be like, this is gobbledygook. Your brain has been chowdered because the arms dealer.ai has has convinced you it's real. And so thank you for re-traumatizing me, Alton.
Was this your boss at Taco Bell?
It was my boss at Taco Bell, the worst boss at Taco Bell.
Damn.
That is such a like Taco Bell manager coded behavior.
All right, so we're getting up onto an hour now. I think we should, well, I don't want to rush things. I think we're having a great conversation. There are two more topics I want to go through. Yeah, on the topic of reviews, what are some of your favorite reviews for Fatum Betula?
My favorite like feedback I get after releasing a game is like essays or video essays. Like whenever somebody liked the game enough or was interested in it enough to like really break it down and talk about it. So a few notable examples, I guess, are there's two YouTubers who both of them I started out as like a fan of, and then I became friends with them afterwards. So
Oh, nice.
one of them's name is Mara, or Mara Ganger, I think you pronounce it. The other one's name is Spacey Soundy, and they've both made videos about Fatum Betula and one of my other games, Mysteries Under Lacophilia, and I really, really appreciate those videos. So I'd say those two are my favorites.
I'm not familiar with those YouTubers. Are you sure you didn't become friends with Manly Badass Hero? Guy who's played every horror game ever made.
No, he's actually my sworn enemy.
I found this through the Campster video originally.
I think I saw this through Errant Signal, I believe.
Yeah. That's the official title of the Campster stuff. He puts his, I don't know, whatever his online handle is, Campster, but the show is called Errant Signal.
Gotcha. I just know him as the Errant Signal guy.
That's probably better.
This may very well segue into what you're about to say. I've been reading just some of the negative reviews because I kind of find, I mean, I don't make games, but I find that in things I do make, the less the negative feedback is able to be constructive, the more that's a sign to me that I'm on the right track. Like when you're getting really good, like criticisms where you're like, oh, you've got a point, like it probably means you know, there's things you could have done better. But like a lot of the negative reviews that you're getting on this game are just like, you know, it was gay that there was so much reading. One guy was just like the walk speed was too slow.
Yeah.
I don't know why that one really tickled me. Wants to be zipping around.
Here's one from Lull, who has, ironically enough, an avatar of Martin Luther, like the Lutheranism guy. He says, "Did not enjoy it, and I never found it to be anything special," which is hardly, the 97 Theses or whatever you'd expect.
The only points that people that I've gotten like recurring in a few negative reviews, most of them are just complaining about the walking speed, which I don't care about. But
sorry, I saw one that's
ahead.
really funny. This game is bad. Don't buy. Waste of money. Very bad. I waste money. Z's. My peanut butter sandwich is better than this game.
That one was written by Cool Hot Dog Dad, all caps.
That's awesome. You gotta give props to Cool Hot Dog Dad.
Yeah.
But the two points that I've sat there and I'm like, there's kind of a point to that. It's one, when people say that like at first the game feels very mystical and mysterious, but the more you play it, the more it gets kind of gamified in like a really simplistic way where you're just like going from point A to point B to get all the endings, which I think is true of any game where you're replaying it over and over to try and get more endings. Right. So I think that's a very fair point. And the other one is just people saying like some of the writing comes off as pretentious. And I'm like, I can't argue with that.
I don't know, man. I think that this peanut butter sandwich accusation is pretty damning.
That's true. I don't. I'm not gonna get sleep tonight.
Looking at Cool Hot Dog Dad's other reviews, he gave a thumbs up to Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think
opinion discarded then.
Exactly, opinion discarded. Individual slated for the gulag.
I was on his side before that.
I would love to share with you my favorite, like negative, I guess, response to a game that I've ever seen.
Oh hell yeah!
It's in a Steam discussions post for the game Anodyne 2. Here it is. One of my absolute favorites.
You want to read it for us, Bryce?
Sure. Awful nonsense for puberty-aged by puberty-minded. Stay away. Save your mind. This is the most stupid game I've ever come across in my 33 years of gaming. A game of nonsense trash dialogues and awful puberty slang crap talk. Devs are in their puberty still, or maybe they are just brain dead. I don't care. Stay away from this brain poop if you still got some brain left yourself. There's a lot of exclamation marks.
Yeah, I was hoping you would pronounce the extra exclamation marks because it's awful nonsense! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark!
It's space! Exclamation mark! Exclamation part! Exclamation, which is what makes it so. It's not just a sentence. It's like a hazmat sign.
They warning. They said puberty a lot in those like 3 sentences.
It's true.
Like a weird amount.
Yeah.
Puberty minded has become kind of an in-joke.
Nice. That's a good one.
This is funny because I've never heard of the game in question here. So this is just completely decontextualized malice.
Yeah. I was just gonna say you shouldn't play it. It's puberty minded.
Oh yeah.
Clearly. I mean, I don't want to be exposed to that kind of influence.
It gives you poop brain.
I nourish my mind on the porn games that Steam always has on the new and trending tab.
Oh yeah, me too. Is this one of the games that you've worked on?
Anodyne 2? No,
Oh, I see.
The Anodyne 1 and 2 are like some of my favorite games, though, and I befriended the devs of it after playing them, so I do know them now.
Oh, right.
But I didn't when I played it.
Decontextualized Malice, though, would be a really great alternative name for this podcast, I think.
We're gonna have a sub-series where we just get fucking pissed off at things and we edit out the proper nouns.
All right, so we're getting close to the ending here, and I just want to go over your next game. So we've all seen it now, the 500 caliber contracts. I'm very curious as to the screenshots for this game and the trailer look pretty insane. So I'm curious, like, what you're going for this next release.
So picture Mario 64,
Mm-hmm.
and then but he has a gun.
Oh,
I'm in.
And
this has been very successful for the Pokemon franchise.
But yeah, it's largely inspired by like aesthetically a lot of Flash games and like edgy early 2000s media that I grew up with. Specifically the Madness Combat series and the Thing series were very influential for it. And the gameplay is very, very inspired by Mario 64. It's a very similar format. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not as complex as some of my previous games. It's a very mechanically focused game, so
Okay.
in terms of like world building and stuff like that, I don't have a lot to say. It's just you hop into a funny world and shoot a rich person in the head with a sniper rifle.
I'm going to take this out, but will you be adding Joe Biden to the video?
Joe Biden
DLC. Perhaps in spirit, many of the people you shoot in the game are Joe Biden.
Oh man, that makes me really excited. I feel like that would be a great way to just do like a bunch of parodies of famous rich people. And that also like spiritually deeply reminds me of like the Flash game days where people would just be like celebrity torture, just like those fucking insanely violent Flash games that unsupervised children the world over have played. Oh
Kill
god.
Yeah, just
oh yeah, exactly.
Just stick figures, just like shooting up an entire mall. Just and it's the fourth one in the series.
Who's that politician who tried to ban
was the
video
shit.
games?
Jack Thompson.
Oh yeah, just like all the fucking games that are like kill Jack Thompson.
It's Tim Buckley's worst nightmare.
Oh my god. Yeah, that era of video games, I'm 100% with you that was a magical time in game development, I think.
Yeah, I don't think anything's really replaced the Flash gaming culture. I think the closest thing we have is like Roblox game dev, but that's like a sweatshop for children, so it's not quite the same thing.
No. Flash has like a unique style as well that like sort of infused everything made within it. Oh man.
Sure. I downloaded Flash 8 to make assets for this game, and it is so fun to work in.
Oh hell yeah.
I animated a stick fight for my first time ever. I'm just making child me proud. And
that fucking whips.
I am using it as a texture in the game.
That rules. I'm getting more excited as we talk about it to try this out. Another rich person, I hope you did like the parody version. Is there like a parody Elon Musk? I gotta know.
Kinda. Honestly, there's like analogs of multiple kinds of people in one but they also are kind of aren't real. Like one of them is like a GIMP DJ that I think originally I wanted to make him like a crypto bro and kind of represent like yeah, he's like Deadmau5, but if Deadmau5 sold NFTs, but I think I rewrote him so he just owns private prisons now because I thought that was funnier.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
He's
private
just-
prisons are pretty funny.
Yeah, there's just stuff like that. There's like a eugenicist doctor and
Mhm.
like a contractor who was brought in to basically be a CEO for some factory workers, as well as like a data collector. And there's one that's the leader of a group of worker scabs, and he's also like a well, for his design, I just googled anime fascist armor. and so,
Are you sure that
Awesome.
the eugenicist shouldn't be like a movie reviewer? Like maybe somebody who overthinks video games, perhaps.
Oh my god.
Oh goodness.
the eugenicist is a guy named Dr. Spider.
Oh,
And
okay.
he kind of has that like Aaron Hansen hair split, so he could absolutely pass as a movie reviewer.
Oh, I was making
Excellent.
oblique references to Movie Bob, one of our.
Oh, I was like, that could be Movie Bob, that could be John Tron, dude. I don't know.
There's so many
That's fair.
eugenicist movie reviewers. What's up with that?
Yeah. Good question.
Is there a character based on literally anybody? Possible.
The first celebrity I ever met in person was Pro Jared.
Oh my god.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
Fuck.
Did he show you his weird bent penis?
Oh, that would have been really bad.
Oh,
I did get a picture with him. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately
Yeah.
or thankfully.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I
No,
would
you
lost
gotta,
that
you
too.
gotta get rid of that. You gotta get rid of that stuff.
That's like a
No.
cursed object. Conky has
Yeah.
a picture of himself with Movie Bob, and it's one of the cursed objects we treasure.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I would kill to get a picture with Movie Bob.
I don't
We
feel
gotta-
like he's blocked me. I feel like we would not be welcome around his personal space. I feel like
Well, we
He
wouldn't tell
doesn't know
him
what
who
I
we
fucking
are.
look like. I can give
Yeah,
it
That's
exactly.
true.
We just go up
Yeah.
and just be like, "We're president of the Mario 3 fan club. You got a book."
Oh,
Oh
fuck.
shit.
Oh, I want to do that.
Oh god. All right, we're gonna make we gotta make a pod trip to Boston. We're gonna have Conky show us around. So show us the local cryptids.
We're gonna. This pod was always gonna devolve into us stalking Movie Bob.
Oh, fuck.
Just us and everybody who lives in the New England branch of the podcast, just stationed at various nerd locations in Boston, just being like 1 p.m.
The eagle has landed.
Nothing at Newberry Comics. Over.
Oh fuck. All right. Well, that pretty much we're out of time. We're at like an hour and 20 minutes, but I had a really great time. Thank you for coming on the show, Bryce.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, honestly, it was an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good, man.
As from my embarrassing praise at the start of the podcast, I really love this when I played it, and it's been exciting hearing these insights.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to play some of the games that Reese brought up. Those sound really interesting. So first, Bryce, where can people find you online, and where can people check out some of your great games?
I actually have a website, brycebucher.net, as a BRYCEBUCHER.net.
Oh, I was pronouncing it Butcher. Oops.
Everybody does. It's okay. But there's a button on there with a bunch of links to all my shit. I got games on itch.io and Steam. You can find them. I don't know.
I am issuing a parasocial podcast order for every listener of the pod to wish list 500 caliber contracts with a Z at the end.
Exactly.
Check out the trailer because it is amazing.
Yeah,
Agreed.
really looking forward to that. All right, Reese, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Reese V Writer on Twitter and Blue Sky and Twitch. And I have a video game music podcast called CRT Sound System. which you can just Google. And I also have a more niche personal podcast called Existential Warfare that I'm not going to get into this episode. So check those out.
All right, Kay, where can people find your work online?
Go to Linktree/K and Skittles and just click on any of the things on there and send me a death threat.
Excellent. Yeah, make sure you make those comments nice and mean. Tell Kay that their work is dog brained and it's not as good as a peanut butter jelly sandwich. We feed off of decontextualized malice. All right, and you can find me at Rude Fox Alton pretty much everywhere. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, and many other places. You can find our main podcast account at Vigatwato, which is just the initials of the name.
Spelled like it sounds.
Exactly. On Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. You can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Vigatwato, where $1 a month gets you all our great premium episodes, I have one sort of sitting in the can right now that I need to edit because I've been so fucking busy the last couple weeks, where we talked to our friend Modra the Fox about video games, and he opens our mind to Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, oh my god. Some of our best podcasts are still locked in that Patreon. The Mountain Dew Horror Stories episode, which remains the most vulnerable I've ever been in my entire life. And one that, is a little bit dated at this point, but I honestly think might be our finest work, was our Jeffrey Epstein mental breakdown episode.
Oh, yeah.
which has to be listened to. So you can find things to use against us. Anyways, check it out.
All right, and that's it for us. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.